Age Wonder coming at you from my van down by the river. So, everybody's talking about treason. Treason, treason, treason. Well, a lot of people have been accused of treason down through time. Before the Revolutionary War, when we were under British rule, treason was kind of a catch-all government, you're guilty and we don't care what you have to say accusation. Anything could be treasonous by those old standards. It would be treason, for instance, to seduce an important man's wife. It could be treasonous to criticize the king. It could be treasonous. Pretty much anything you did to a person of authority that they didn't like, they accused you of treason. And what was the punishment of treason? Pretty severe. Like, they hang you by the neck, but they pull you down before you're totally dead. Then they cut out your guts while you're still alive, set them on fire while you're still alive, right? Then they cut off your head, cut your body into quarters, and deliver that to the king. That was the charge for treason. So nowadays, when people throw that treasonous charge around, why isn't that we don't see more people being convicted of treason? Some of the most treasonous acts in modern history, have to do with giving secrets to the Russians or the Chinese or some other government opposed to our government. The problem is, for that to be treason, we have to actually be at war with said country. So those people weren't charged with treason historically. They've been charged with espionage. And so people who give away state secrets aren't charged with treason. What is the definition of treason? Well, it's the only the only crime enumerated or mentioned in the United States Constitution. And it also was put in there to, I think, limit and define specifically what treason was, because the British used the charge of treason to accuse everybody of everything down through time. So when the founding fathers, they wanted to define treason to be something very specific. Treason is defined as when someone makes open war against the United States of America or gives aid and comfort to someone that we consider our enemy or we are at war with. So the definition of treason is very clearly defined, and it says that Congress can set the punishment for treason. And so here's kind of the way that treason is looked at in the law. There are two kinds of treason. There's high treason and then just regular ordinary treason. So high treason is a treasonous act, making war against the United States government or giving aid and comfort to the enemy. High treason is someone who has taken an oath, put their hand on the Bible, and swore to uphold the Constitution. So policemen, military men, politicians, and that's high treason if you do something that is treasonous after having taken the oath. I guess regular treason is for ordinary folk. One of the most, I think, abuses or extreme cases of treason and punishment is during the Civil War in 1862, I think it was. A man tore an American flag down from the pole, and he was charged with treason and hung by the neck till dead. So there's a gray scale of punishment, from high treason, the extreme example being punishable by death. And then the minimum punishment for treason is 5 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. So the thing is, nobody usually gets convicted of treason. And part of it is because it is so clearly defined, and it is a bit difficult to prove unless you catch somebody red-handed. It's really kind of hard to prove treason. There has to be two witnesses. That is part in the parcel in the Constitution. It takes two people to accuse you and to be a witness against you. One witness of treason won't cut it. So they typically tend to charge people with other statutes Because if you commit a treasonous act, chances are you broke a bunch of other laws along the way, and it's just easier to use regular law than it is to try to get you on a constitutional act of treason. So, why is everybody talking about treason? Well, a lot of people on the right in recent times, or in the last 10 years, have talked about treason when it comes to people like Barack Obama and the Fast and the Furious, this thing of giving guns to ISIS, funding ISIS. That does fit the classic example of high treason, if you can prove it with two witnesses. But typically people for a long time have been getting away with what would have been considered treasonous acts. So nowadays, today, recently, in current history, we're talking about treason because everyone's accusing Donald Trump of treason by colluding with the Russians. That's not making open warfare against the American people, nor is it giving aid and comfort to our enemy, because technically Russia is not our enemy. We hold several treaties with Russia, and I don't believe that, I mean, if he gave away state secrets or something like that, that would be espionage. But to accuse him of treason, to accuse Donald Trump Jr. of treason for having a meeting with a Russian official, this does not meet the criteria for treason. And then today, this week, people are talking about treason because someone in the crowd, when Trump was referring to how the liberal left-wing arm of the government would not stand up and applaud for things that were good for the American people, like when he told everyone that we had the lowest unemployment rate in both Hispanic and African American communities that have ever been recorded. So more African American and Hispanic people are working than ever before in history. None of those people stood up. None of those people applauded on the whole left side. And he was basically accusing them of un-American behavior, un-American activities, which is not treason. When someone in the audience, this is after that, when they're talking about it, someone in the audience yells out the word treason, and Trump says, maybe, I don't know, it could be treason. Why not? Let's call it treason. I think if you understood the history of how that word was used historically, and you got to buffer that with what treason is technically, could it be treasonous? I think in the old Great Britain, European days, absolutely, that'd be totally treasonous. How dare you not applaud for the king's new socks? You're treasonous scum. By the constitutional definition of treason, it's not even close. It's not even, let's not get, or if you want to get technical, if you want to get lawyerly about it, was them not standing up, giving aid and comfort to our enemies that want to see us destroyed? Which enemy specifically? And where are your two accusers? See, treason is really hard to prove. It's more of an accusation. I would say that yelling treason at someone is akin to these Antifa members who if you don't like what they say, they just call you a Nazi. Or nowadays, they call you Putin's bitch. Excuse my French. But, I've had so many people that call Donald Trump Putin's bitch. I'm going to get me a t-shirt with a picture of a Rambo guy holding a AK-47, and it's going to write, not Putin's bitch. But, I mean, I don't know. Or maybe I'm proud to be Putin's. I'm going to quit saying that word. But yeah, this accusation of treason is kind of a catch-all thing. Nowadays also they would say, you're a Russian collaborator, if they don't appreciate or agree with what you say. So calling someone treasonous is kind of just a slur. Really, it's not a viable accusation. The prosecutions for treason are very small in number. One of the most famous ones was the charging Tokyo Rose, the propagandist who was American-born but worked for the Japanese during World War II, putting out propaganda against the United States over the airways. She was convicted of treason, not high treason, but of treason, and she was charged 10 years in prison and a $5,000 fine, but she served 7. So anyway, treason or not treason, it really is just a slur these days. What I'm interested in is what the FBI has been up to concerning framing people in government, specifically Donald Trump. If you're trying to frame our president, that, I believe, is treason. God save our republic.